Hey guys, welcome back. So in some of my other videos, you've seen me making these NFC tags, these business cards, keychains. You can use them in a bunch of different applications. So they're really cool. All you got to do is you tap them to your phone and it takes you to whatever link you want it to. I have it taken it to my bio site. I've made some for some friends that take them to their LinkedIn sites. I've had a lot of good success. I've had some failures designing my own, and I'm going to take you through what I've learned so far and how I create these. So let's go dive into the computer and I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, let's hop in here. So what you need to do is figure out, your logo, what you want to create, right? And then you want to, so I'm using Photoshop. It's what I have. There's a lot of different photo editors that you can use. So I will open up make a new canvas. And then I know that I want to use my logo. So I have it already. I've already manipulated some of these, but we'll go ahead and open this one up and bring this one into Photoshop. So just pull it in, drag it in, get it situated where you want it. Boom, header. This is a simple image. Doesn't have a lot of extra, colors. This is just one single color. So I'm going to show you just a basic, easy way to make this. And then maybe I'll go in and show you the more complex stuff. I'll show you some of the things that I've already made and some of the things that failed and some of the things that you want to use, and then some of the things that you want to stay away from. So anyway, I've got my normal image here. I've got the background. We can go ahead and just delete the background. We don't need it. So my image is already a PNG and it's already transparent. So if you don't know how to make that, all right, so I'm going to run through it quick just in case you have just a solid image like this. You don't already have a transparent PNG. What you want to do is you select the layer that your image is on. You select your subject. It's going to be very simple for this one. You may have a more complex one. You would just come up here to the selection tools and make sure you select everything that you need. So you've got your subject selected. You go to your background layer or to whatever layer you want to mask that out of. You make sure your selection is still selected. You see the marching ants there, and then you just come down here and you hit your layer mask. Boom, makes it go away. So now you have your transparent image. So all you have to do is go up to File, Export As. Make sure that PNG is selected right here. If you do a JPEG, I don't know about a GIF, but if you do a JPEG, it's going to come out where this is still going to be white. It's not going to be transparent like it is here. So you need to make sure it's a PNG. So go ahead and save it wherever you're saving it. I'll go ahead and make a new folder here. So this will be a new version for me. So this will be my Wolf Media logo. Save it. My logo, and there it is. You can see here that it is a PNG, and we're good to go. So we'll get out of that. So the next thing that you want to do is you're going to go into MakerWorld, and you're going to go to MakerLab up here, and then you're going to look for the Make Keychain or Image to Keychain. You go ahead and start. You're going to see I've got a bunch in here that I've been working on. So go ahead and just create from blank. So you're going to want to drag and drop your image in here. So we're going to go find the one I made, bring it in. Now you can pick whatever shape you want. If you want it to be a square, if you want it to be a circle, what aspect ratio you want to be. You want to keep background, not keep background. What I will tell you to do is if you're making a PNG, you've already removed all the background that you don't want to have. So I always leave that on. So if you have an image with a white background, then it's going to think that is that is part of the background and it's going to remove it. Or if you have white in the actual image, it's going to remove it. I ran into that when I was actually making a poker chip, but yeah, for example, it was something like this where you can see the white in there, it would just remove it. So the white wouldn't even be there. It wouldn't even make it as a layer. So for me, I want to make this a circle. I'm really digging the poker chip kind of look for these things. So I've got it here and I can scale it up to whatever size I want. I can crop the sides in, but let's move it around so I can get it a little bit bigger. What I found is So you're going to be printing these, you know, the size of a poker chip, right? They're anywhere between 39 millimeters in diameter to 45 millimeters. That's the actual poker chip size. You can make these whatever size you want. What I found is if you need any like little intricate details in them, then it's hard for the 3D printer to make that. I'm running at a 0.4 nozzle. If you had a 0.2, you could get more intricate, but you can see here in this one, like the letters around the outside, they're not as clean as I would like them to be. So I'm going to try and take that out. I'm gonna redo these. I like them, but I'm gonna redo them. Anyway, back to mine. So you get it set up the way that you want. I'm going to keep my background because there's no background to keep. You can adjust some things in here too. I don't need to do it. I've already done it in Photoshop. Just confirm it. It's going to take your image. It's going to process it. All right. And that looks good to me. As long as you're happy with your image. If you're not happy with it, you can certainly try again. But that looks good to me. So go ahead and continue. So now here you can select if you want, depending if you have an AMS system, if you don't have an AMS system, so you can do 4 colors, 8 colors, 12 colors, however many colors you want. This is obviously just one color, so black. You can. I'm just going to confirm it. All right, now that I have my image dropped in here, you can see that it's only got one color because it was a very simple, solid image. All right. I want to be able to make it thicker and have a solid piece on the bottom. So if you can see here in this one, this camera, you know, the black piece is solid and thick, and then the orange part is actually raised. So what I want to do is create kind of like this too. This portion is raised too. So I want to make just a disc, and then I want my logo on top of it raised just a little bit, just to make it pop. So I'm going to add another color so I can come in here and reference that later. And actually, I'm going to turn this one orange because that's the color that I wanted. I'm going to go into my plate, and so you can pick, you know, if you want to just be the image on both sides. So you can go into the preview here and you can see. So it's going to be, you know, we've got it set to black. You can set it to whatever color you want. So if you just want a solid, you know, solid image, you can certainly do that. I'm going to make this black because I'm going to want the black disc on the bottom black, and you can change how you want it. So that looks cool, but I don't want a square. I want a circle. So you can change the shape here, change that to a circle. Looks more of an oval in here. All right, yeah, so that made it oval. So it kind of made it oblonged. I don't want that. I want it even all the way around. So I'm just going to make it, you know, an even 125, 125. And then once we get into our slicer, we can really make the adjustments and make it the size that we want. Now I can change the size of, or I'm sorry, the thickness of the actual image here. And I can change the thickness of the black part here as well. So we might as well go ahead and do that. The thickness of a normal poker chip is around 3.5 millimeters. So what I want to do is I want my background to be 3 millimeters. And then I want my image to be 0.5. Okay. So when I go back into my slicer here, I should see it's raised up just a little bit. This is going to be 3 millimeters thick. So this is going to give us the depth that we need to create the hole to put the NFC chip inside of the print. Okay. All right, future self here. I realized that I never showed you what the actual NFC tags look like. These are them. They're just little tiny pieces of cardboard, okay? And they've got 3M adhesive on the back. You just peel it off and you put it on like a sticker. I got a pack of 30 of these things from Amazon. I think they were $10. I'll link them down below if you guys want to pick them up. And then it comes with little instructions. It tells you the app to download, and then I can program everything with my phone. It gives you a buttload of options, whatever you want to program the NFC thing to take you to, be it a website, a social media site, a phone number, a contact, take you straight into a text message. It does a lot of cool things. But I got those off Amazon, like I said, and I'll link them down below. Back to the video. So that's looking pretty good to me. I don't want this raised up too much because I'm going to make it into like a keychain, or I want to put it in my pocket. I don't want it protruding too much because, it'll wear, it'll break off, it'll snaggle and things. One of the things that you can do while you're in here too is you can go over here to attachments, and then if you want a hook, Well, you can see that it added a hook there, or you can have it make it a bookmark. It's black, so it's hard to see. Or you can make it, or you can just add a hole. You know, anywhere that you would like to add a hole for the keychain. What I found is the hole that MakerLab gives you is this tiny little thing. Okay, see that tiny little hole there? I don't even know that a keychain is going to get through it. And make sure that you put the hole down low enough that you have enough material up here that if you snag it or you pull it, it's not going to break the plastic. Okay, so I'm gonna go back in here, and what I'm gonna do is go back to where it was so I don't have anything moved around. Okay, I want to add an attachment. I want to add the hole, and I can make the hole a little bit bigger right here. So let's see, that might be a little too big. So we'll go into the slicer, we'll see it. I want to move that down just a little bit more. So we'll move that down, move it over. I'll put it right between his ears because I don't want to mess with the aesthetics. So bring it in here. I think that looks pretty good. All right, for some reason my thickness is reset or changed. And I noticed that by looking, I'm pointing at it, by looking down here in the slicer preview. So for my background, like I said, I want 3 millimeters thick. And in the image itself, I want 0.5 millimeters thick. So I can go back in my slicer, check it. All right, that looks good. That looks good. The hole looks like it's where I want it to be. So we will go ahead and download this. And you can change your nozzle size. It's recommending a 0.2 nozzle size. I don't have a 0.2 nozzle, so I'm going to make it with a 0.4. It'll come out all right because it's pretty much a simple shape. So you can go in here and you can download it as a 3MF or an STL. We're going to go ahead and do both. You see I've got them downloaded here, and we're going to import them into Bambu Studio. All right. So let me pull up Bambu Studio here. All right. So I have a project currently running, making a couple of those things. So I have a project started to make these. So I've got kind of all my keychains and everything like in the same project. So I'm going to go and create another plate. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to import. So here's the downloads. So you can name them whatever you want when they go to export them. But these are the two here. Oh, one's a 3MF and the other is the STL. I'm going to try the STL. So you see when you bring the STL in, it is just a solid image. You can see that it's still there, but it is just a solid image, right? There's no separation. So you should be able to go in here, split into parts. And now I have the two parts, right? So let's hit the number 5 to create that. And here we go. So I've got everything set up pretty much the way that I want it, right? It looks good. We're going to scale it to the size of a poker chip, just because that's what we're going for here. I unclick this uniform scale because if I change the width and the height, or the diameter rather, of the image, it's going to change the depth of it too. I don't want to change the depth. I want to keep the total depth at 3.5. So the regular poker chip is 39. It's kind of small. So I'm going to make it, let's do 45 and then 45. 45 millimeters by 45 millimeters. Okay, looks good, right? Now, here comes the tricky part. So how do we make the hole inside in order for the for me to place the little NFC chip? So what I do is I come down and you click on your image, you right click, you go to add negative part, and you want to add a cylinder. Yes, just hit OK. So in order to get this the right size, I did a little bit of playing around with it, and for my sizes, I already have a couple of them made over here. I've already got the negative fill spaces made for these cylinders over here. So I'm just going to go up here to the scale, and then I'm going to copy my scale settings. Okay, 28, 28, and 1.5. So I'm going to click on that one. I'm going to do 28. I'm going to do 28, and then I'm going to do 1.5. So now I have my negative part the correct size, but it's now floating in the air. So how do I get it to where I need it to? So you click on that one, you hit center. Now, how do I get it to where I want it to go? So you just click on the move, you hit 0, and it's going to stick it in the middle of your image, okay, or in the center of your depth. Now, this is where you're going to have to play with it, because that may not work depending on your layer thicknesses and how your machine slices it. So what you do to figure that out, you go over to preview, and it's going to slice your image. Come over here to the right, and you drag down your slices. So you can see it's still solid. All right, there's the cover. So now there's our negative space, negative space, negative space, negative space, negative, 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 negative. So what you want to do is make sure that you have enough layers on the top and the bottom, so that when you go to pull this off the sheet or you're messing around with it, it just doesn't fall apart. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is where it starts. So I've got 4 solid layers before it starts to create the pocket for the NFC ring, which is plenty. You drag it up until you see it gets to the point where it's going to cover it. So there at layer 16 is where it is going to cover that hole. So I bring it down 1, and now you can see that there's a nice big pocket here for your NFC chip. Go ahead and right click and add a pause. And what that's going to do is tell your printer to keep printing, and then poof, it's going to yell at you, say, hey, I paused due to user preference or due to user input, whatever it says. You go over, you put your little NFC chip inside of it, you hit resume print, and it's going to start printing over top. And we should have plenty of room there. And that is how I make these keychains. There are a lot of different ways to do this, and there are a lot of things that I ran into, a lot of problems that I ran into. So like I said, this is a very, very simple design. What I had a couple other ones. Let me pull you back up. So in the preview, like this one here, okay, let me zoom in on this plate. This was another one that I was making for friends of mine. It's a really cool design. I like it, but it's too intricate. So you can actually see there are some transparent portions here in this that it just, the 3D printer is just not precise enough to make details like this in a small image, right? Another thing that I found when I was making these, so on the back of these, I have the NFC logo, so people know what these are. These aren't just some little toy or whatever you can play with. You can actually tap them to your phone. Same deal with these. Now, I did not add that to my original design, but I do want to put it in there. So how do I go about doing that? All right. So if I move this over here, you'll see that I have the NFC logo already created. What I do, and I'm sure there's other ways to do this, this is just how I learned to do it. You know, I right click on it, export as one STL file. So go into pictures, reprint, yeah, just for sake of this. So I already have it saved somewhere else. So I'll just call it NFC. Put that back. All right, once I've got that, make sure that you have your the plate selected that you want. Good file, import, and you're gonna go find that NFC logo. There it is, came in blue, but I want it to be white. So all you gotta do is hit 3, because that's what number you're set to. And it's the color that you want. Now, since I already have this centered, I just click on that, click center. Looks good, right? Where it should be. If I go and hit slice plate, I'm going to run into an issue. So how do we fix that? Because you can't just put images on top of images and then, or objects on top of objects. It's going to throw a fit. So in order to fix that, what you want to make sure that you do is you select your main image or your main object. You're going to right click. You're going to go to add negative part, and you're going to load. And you go find that same file that you dropped in for the NFC. And what that does is it creates a negative part of that image that is the same size. So we'll center that up again. What you want to do is make sure that you pan down and look and see if it is at the layer that you want. Obviously, it is not. So we need to move that. Now we need that on the very bottom of our image. Okay, it's the same size as the other one. So we'll pull that to the bottom. See, it's there. I think we got it too low. All right, so I think we got it on the bottom. Let's go ahead and hit slice plate. And there we go. Now we have no errors. And we have no errors because the negative portion is in the same spot as our NFC logo. So if we just pull down the slicer here, we'll make sure that everything looks good. We've got our pause there, and that's where it's going to start printing. Pull it on down. See layer there. That's going to be our base layer. Looks good to me. And that's how I create a simple logo. So if you guys got any questions about how I created these things, I've run into a lot of different problems so far, just kind of converting other images and bringing things in. I'm happy to help walk anybody through what issues that they might be having if I can. I don't claim to be the expert here, but I do like tinkering with this stuff, and I've come across a couple of things that I can do, a couple of things that I can't do, some things that I can fix, some things that I can't. I hope you liked the video. I'm going to keep more of this 3D content coming. I like it a lot. I'm having fun doing it. I'm enjoying it, and I'm starting to make money doing it. So obviously, yeah, I should keep it up, right? If you like the video, you like the content, like, comment, subscribe. It really helps me out. I'll catch you guys in the next one. If you have any suggestions or anything that you want help printing, let me know. Catch you guys later. Peace.